Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal, Guyz. I hope everybody's having a great night and ready for a great show. We've got some special guests lined up here tonight, and we're going to, as soon as I figure out what all buttons to push, we're going to have a great show. And let me take care of some business first. We are live on yergsradio.com and Rainbow Radio, so you can call us thanks to their toll-free number at 1-888-88-YERGZ on your phone pad, or 1-844-GAY-LGBT on your phone pad. I want to thank the Our Post Network for allowing us use of their pages as well. All right, well, let's see who we got hiding back here. We got Miss Amanda. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Let's see. And we have a great guest. She's a friend of yours. Her name is Shay, and she's going to tell us, well, why don't you tell us about her?
So, tell you about my friend Shay. I think we should let Shay tell us about her. She is into all kinds of stuff. She's amazing at what she does. I've known her for quite a few years now. Gosh, about 7 years, 7, 8 years.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think
Maybe
so.
longer.
Maybe. I don't.
Yes.
It's been a while.
Yes. So tell us about all the wonderful things you do.
Okay. Well, hi. So I am a psychic medium. I'm also an intuitive artist, paranormal investigator, into all things spooky, creepy, weird, or unusual, pretty much. So that's a little bit of what I do, to sum it up.
Hence why we're friends.
Yes. That is why we met, yeah.
Yes. We first met at Scarefest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Long time
I can't believe
ago.
it's been that many years ago, but yes.
Yeah, long time.
And I
I
don't
was
love Scarefest any
volunteering.
less.
You what?
I don't love Scarefest any less than I did when I first started going. I
Oh,
think
yeah, I
it
know.
just,
And they bring back the same people each year and we still go.
it's very true. There are some new ones, but no, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
coming to a big family.
Yes. Yeah, you go and you just visit and reunite with everyone you've known all this time.
Yep.
Is it up near you all, or?
It's in Lexington, Kentucky. I think they've moved it to the first weekend of October.
I think it's October, the weekend of the 19th this year.
Oh, okay. They've moved it several times over the
Yeah.
years. So, yeah, and they have like horror guests. Like this year, I think they have a lot of people from Scream. I saw Jamie Kennedy is going to be there, along with Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich.
Yes.
I know, they're my favorites. I've already met Matthew and Skeet, so I'll have to go meet Jamie Kennedy now.
Same.
Yes. So will you be at Scarefest? Like at a booth?
I am still debating on that. If I do, I will be a speaker this year. I believe I'll be opening up the speaker list on Friday, and I will have a booth and be doing some readings, but I'm making sure the dates work because October is a very busy month for me. It's like pretty much all my family was born in October, so there's a lot of stuff.
Yes. Last year, I think we were trying to, or sometime last year, I think we were trying to get together in Frankfurt at something you were doing, and we just couldn't make it work. I haven't seen you in person in a long time.
Yeah, I was doing the readings during the Witches' Night.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is Yeah, we have a lot of fun here, Glenn. You would love it in Kentucky.
Yes.
In Atlanta, there's not a lot of scary stuff, just scary people. So
Right? I know we went to Atlanta one weekend and I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go back home.
me too.
I do have to say Atlanta has one of my favorite places I've investigated though. Rhodes
Oh, yeah?
Hall. Rhodes Hall is right downtown in Atlanta. It actually it's a historic older home. It's owned by the State Preservation Trust or something like that now, but it was gorgeous. I used to go there at least once a year. It's a beautiful house. If you ever get a chance to tour it, I highly recommend. It's got a good history.
That's
Okay.
really cool. What's the
Yeah,
most
I've
haunted
never heard
place
of that
you've ever
one.
investigated?
Oh my gosh, most haunted. See, that's hard because a lot of times some of the most haunted stuff I think I've ever seen in my life is not big, well-known places. It's been things that are local to me or houses I've been to. I think some of the places I've gotten some of the most activity, though, I think Thomas House in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee is probably one of the places I've gotten the most activity. It's probably one I've been to the most. Used to kind of be my home away from home. I swear I was there like once a month, sometimes twice a month, just to hang out. But there are a lot of different layers to that building, a lot of different levels of history of things that you will get to interact with and or see. Man, that's got to be probably the one I've had the most interaction with.
Yeah.
St. Albans Asylum in Radford, Virginia is also one that I have never been able to get out of my head. It's one of the only places that I've ever been I'll attacked. I was kind of letting my guard down for a
Oh,
little bit. And I don't
yeah.
let that happen often, but there's even pictures. I truly, genuinely upset and pissed off a spirit there that I was calling out on their BS, that I was like, nah, history's wrong. This is what really happened. And they got very angry that I was airing their dirty laundry, and they came up and slapped right below my neck and then scratched. Like the picture is like a
Gosh.
huge handprint, and you can see, oh, I was instantly angry. I wasn't scared. I was livid. So the recordings and EVPs had a lot of fruitful language right after that. So
You
yeah,
are the spirit witch.
it's an interesting place. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Is it the only time you've ever been touched by anything?
I'm not touched, attacked. There's a massive difference. So
Sure.
right. No, no, I get touched quite a bit. Like when we're doing things, hair pulling or people messing with clothing, especially if you have like strings on a hoodie and stuff like that. Trying to think of, I mean, I've been to so many different places. Waverly was really cool. Not gonna lie.
We
Waverly was a
we
bucket
talked
list when I
about
got to do it.
Waverly last week. We talked about Waverly,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, we have a couple of ladies wanting to come and go to Waverly. Cindy was really sweet. She's awesome. She's from Tennessee, isn't she, Glenn?
Yeah, just above
Yeah.
Chattanooga, I think, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
close to Old South Pittsburgh then.
I forget what was the name of the hospital. Old Fayette Hospital. She is pretty much the curator of it.
Oh, that's very cool. I feel like a lot of things I do and a lot of the friends I have that are in the paranormal with me are from Tennessee. Like literally
Me
my
too.
little friend group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm from Knoxville, so yeah.
Old South Pittsburgh though that was a really cool experience. I went there for the first time this year. Had some super interesting things, very interactive, extremely intelligent haunting in a lot of those areas in that hospital. Yeah, she's not too far from that though. It's a little ways past Chattanooga, I think.
Okay. Well, now some people see them, others hear them. Which is it with you, or is it a combination?
So I kind of have a little of all of it. it doesn't always show up in like full 3D sound and music kind of effect. Sometimes I'll just hear, or sometimes I'll see, feel, smell, whatever it is. All the senses you have like here on this side, I can use all of them on the other side, which has always been kind of funny. I have some friends that, they don't hear or they don't see, or vice versa. And the ones who don't see, I'll be seeing something, I'll be like, oh my God, did you see that? And they're like, no, for the 100th time, I did not see it. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I just got really excited, but okay, cool. Yeah.
What do they normally look like? Do they look like us, or do they look, like aliens? What do they look like?
So for me, it's different for everybody. Sometimes, yes, they look just like us. I've had conversations with people and then not realize that they weren't people until someone else was like, who are you talking to? Sometimes when I go to some places, I get the black and white. It's almost like watching a movie, like a black and white film will play and I can see events that have happened. Sometimes they don't look like people. Sometimes they really are just light or shadows or mist. There is no rhyme or reason to it. I can sometimes ask for clarification if I want to get details on what the person looks like or mannerisms or things like that. I can ask if they don't show up as an actual person for me, and they'll let me know. But yeah, I never really know what I'm going to get. It's always a surprise.
Now, is it possible to say, like, I don't know, I'm looking for Bob Dole and find one guy, or is it just whoever is random by, or how does that work?
So you could ask for people. It's when you come to a medium, if people are wanting to speak with somebody past, or they're just curious, you can ask for them, but they don't really change too much from the way we are now. So if you didn't want to people when you were here, sometimes you don't want to people when you're there. So yeah, you can always ask, and I'm always kind of respectful. I don't ever want to force it when I do, but yeah, you can pinpoint people.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered, because I've had some people say that basically they just like walk into their living room or whatever, and they're like, hey, I got a story to tell.
So yes, I've been really good over the years, kind of proofing the house. I don't let it be so busy anymore. That kind of takes a toll on you, especially when it's 3 o'clock and you wake up and someone's mama is standing there like, hey, you pass this message along. I'm like, no, man, I'm not doing this. It's 3 a.m. I got to get up for work. Yeah, it's better if you ask, or I'll actually tell them if I'm out somewhere and somebody does appear to me or wants to pass a message along. I'm like, hey, can you come back around this time or when I'm in this space? It really is no different than talking to like you or me. You treat them like you would when they were here. So I'm like, if you have enough respect, come back and see me later. Make an appointment, basically.
Well, and are most of them fairly respectful?
Yes, to an extent. Again, I really think we don't change too much. So if you are a jackass here, you don't lose that trait about yourself. So I've had some people be like, no, this is going to happen right now, or I'm going to come in, or I'm going to mess with this, and they kind of find out real fast. I don't really tolerate that from living and or past. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And this started when you were very young.
Yeah. I don't remember a time I didn't see or feel or have something different going on. I think the earliest I remember is my brother and me shared a room when he was a baby, and I was little up until about I was 5. There's about 2.5 years between me and him, and I remember there was a lady, and it happened almost every night. His crib was across from me, and my bed was over here on the wall, and she would come and stand at the right side of his crib. Hands on the crib. She wasn't very tall, but just enough to hold on like this, and she was in all black. everything about her looked like a shadow, except her hair was like a dark gray. And I remember seeing that. And I remember seeing a few other things in that house, the apartment that we lived in. Yeah, I didn't find out till I was like in my teens, 15, 16, that that building, the apartment we lived in, was in an area known to be like a Civil War kind of makeshift hospital for some of the raids that had gone on through the town that I live in. So the things I used to see there, I used to see people that would walk up in weird uniforms in just all gray, would walk and disappear into the wall where the window was above my bed. And then later on, I was like, y'all told me this stuff wasn't real and I was imagining all this, but I clearly something happened here. So yeah, I've always been that kid.
Yeah, I interviewed Sophia Temporelli, I think her last name is, Ghost Girl. She's out on the West Coast, and she's really young. She told me that hers started as a child too, and this thing basically watched her like a perverted old man until finally, I guess, her parents or somebody realized that, you know, it wasn't in her head, and they moved. And I think he followed it took a while, and it traumatized her. I mean, she up to like, you know, teenage years. And I was like, I never thought about it, but she pointed out, she says, well, if you were a jerk, a creep, or whatever here, you're probably going to be that way over there. And I'm like,
yep.
It's like, it makes sense. And she was the first person I'd ever heard of that had been, I will say traumatized, because that's the word she used. That's her story. You know, I don't want to embellish it, but wow. That, you know, I grew up at a haunted house, and I don't know how we managed to get away from them, but we did. And I'm glad to, and I like to go out and look for Bigfoot, things that go bump in the night in my house. I want to shoot. So I'm not a fan.
That's fair. Yeah. I could understand the trauma aspect of it. There was what I thought was a recurring dream was not. I realized I was very much awake. I had that for a very long time, regardless of the house that we lived in. Something very specific. So I 100% can relate to her.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Do you think that these things can, I don't want to how do I word this? I don't say read our minds, but know what's occupying our space, I guess?
So I think that would depend on what kind of entity you would be speaking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be that has a lot of potential depending on what you think you're speaking to or what you're dealing with. Yes, I mean, we've seen that ghosts or spirits can interact, and there's other times when they don't, when they're kind of on a loop. And then there's other things that I believe in that I haven't experienced everything, obviously, but there are quite a few things I've encountered that I had to go find the name for it to figure out what it was. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are very much aware, and they do know. They watch us. I mean, that's what I think, and that's what I've seen.
I think, wasn't it Cindy, Amanda, that said last week that she believes that it's our aura. They can read our aura of what's like, we're a timestamp of what 24 hours previous and 24 hours ahead, and that they can read that, is what she was talking about.
That's what she thinks, is that they can see so far into our past and so far into our future based on our aura.
Because she had one in a person that she was helping with a problem on the West Coast that was emailing her, and the lady sent her an email with EVPs the night before, and she didn't want to listen to it, so she shut her computer down. And the next morning, when she went and checked her email, and the email was there, and she listened to the EVP, it was about an argument her and her husband had that morning. It's like, okay, that really crosses a time-space barrier that freaks me out a lot.
Right. Yes, that freaked me out too. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I would again, I think it depends on what kind of thing you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do think
Yeah.
that is a possibility.
Yeah, that's scary. That's scary. When you say beings, I know everybody thinks of ghosts and they think of, your grandma standing over you, or, Uncle Tom looking out for you that you never knew. What other kind of, I know there's bad spirits or demons, whatever you want to call them, out there. How many do you think there are?
This is a
I like
this
that
is
response.
this is a science. That means that we are always and forever broadening our ideas and things that we think we know. We never really know the full extent of it. I don't know. You take your pick. How many different religions and beliefs and ancient civilizations and cultures there are? Every single one of them have something different that they call something. That's how many I think there are. I think it's an infinite amount. And we are just now to the point in the last 50 to 100 years starting to actually like catalog, write down, and keep an accurate like history of things that people have let go, which is why something shows up sometimes, I think, and everyone's like, we have no idea what that is. It's not this or this. I'm an infinite amount. That is what I believe. Okay. Like I said, there's things that I've had to like phone a friend and be like, hey, you're into more weirder stuff than me. Can you tell me what you think this is? Because I have an idea. So, yeah.
That's fair. I had an interesting event happen to me, and I try and ask everybody their opinion of this. It's happened twice, once sitting here, and I see it out of the corner of my eye. It's a single drop of water, and it will fall and hit my arm, and there's no water pipes above me. I'm in one of my kids' old bedrooms. It would be physically impossible. And I even photographed the water. It was ice cold. What the heck could that be? It's happened twice now. Just one singular, and you just catch it out of the corner of your eye and it'll hit your arm.
I would have a lot of questions about what were you doing when this happened? Like, were you doing this? Were you like talking, or were you zoned out?
Well, I spend most of my life zoned out, so that's kind of.
Thank you for narrowing it down. That helps. Yes.
No, it was. I don't think I was online during a show, but I was probably editing or doing artwork for a show or something. More than likely, it was something show related. One of my multiple shows. So
could be something. I have no idea. It could be something trying to get your attention, and that's the only way. It could be if you were like zoned out or kind of like meditating, having quiet time or something. I'd be like, maybe you went somewhere, like you were on a different plane or level. I don't know. That's really freaky. I mean, unless water has a specific meaning to you, it could be what side of the body it fell on. If it was on this side, if it was a relative, it's mom. And on this side, it's dad. It's like, I don't know. That's very interesting.
Okay. Have you ever heard of that before?
Not specifically. You are the first.
Well, there you go. I'm always unique.
You are, Glenn.
Yeah, my wife tells me all the time, well, that's not exactly what she says.
Or if you particularly think that you actually have somebody who specifically watches over you that is not a relative, that is more angelic being, there's something connecting you with them, and I think that is a way that they communicate.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a weird story about a person that can be seen nearby me that multiple people have seen, and for no apparent reason, it's it showed up to multiple people, and he drew a drawing of it, and I've emailed it to each one of them. They're like, "That's exactly what I saw." I'm like, I have no idea who it is. So,
okay,
that's weird.
Yeah,
kind of like Insidious with the woman.
Oh,
behind
good
him, and
God.
she gets closer and closer.
Oh, God. That's.
It's like the guy with from the I don't know what era would it be, with the top hat and the nice thin tie and the mustache like me, and it's kind of like that era. So and I'm like, I have no idea who in the heck that could be.
So like the 20s?
Yeah. So yeah, I have no idea who that could be. So
Okay, got me thinking.
Yeah.
I will intrigue you, that's for sure. So I'm weird.
Glenn, have you ever been to the place in Atlanta she mentioned?
No, I'd actually never heard of it. And that surprises me
Yeah.
because I got a lot of weird friends around here. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some good experiences there. Basement was weird. The basement in the building was very weird. I have a friend who is like super smart, very historically zoned into anything you can think of. And that was one of the first times I met this person. And I think this was the first time I'd been there. And I went downstairs and they were trying to figure out, is she legit? Is she really what she says she is? Which I welcome anybody to assume that. I don't like people to just automatically believe things sometimes. I prefer a little skepticism. Not that I'm trying to win you over or anything, but I think that's a healthier way to live sometimes. And I could tell that he was very much like, so what do you pick up from this? And I'm like, all right, well, right off the top of my head, there's this guy over here arguing about this. This is a weird thing. Like, here's what's happening. And I just remember I was picking up on, it was almost like a flood coming in all at once I finally decided to like open up. Atlanta's got a weird vibe anyways. Like it's an odd town. But yeah, no, Rhodes Hall, 100%. You should definitely go check that out. I don't know if they still do events and stuff there, but I know, like I said, I think the state owns it. Beautiful, full of history. The person that designed it and built it and stuff, the family that originally lived there are still members living in the house. We did speak to a few of them. Yeah, 100%. Love that place. It's gorgeous.
That's cool. What's the best EVP you've ever had?
Personally, I mean, I've gotten a few good ones. Some of the best ones I've ever heard though had nothing to do with me whatsoever. So, Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge. I have heard some of the best EVPs there. Literally, I'm pretty sure it was Pigeon Forge. My friend Mike was doing his session in the third class area, and they got one that literally has a little girl talking about exactly what they were doing. I mean, it's the clearest, just spot on, super interactive. Some of the other best ones I've gotten, Rosemont in Tennessee. I don't know if you guys have been there, know about it. It's another old plantation home kind of setting, Civil War era. First of all, I'm a woman who's speaking and doing things that women normally didn't do, which tends to be something that happens in a lot of the places that I end up going to. You're a woman. I've been called a witch on EVPs and spirit boxes. I've played stuff back. I've been cussed out. And the EVP that I got at Rosemont was literally someone basically telling me to like F off. Like it was nothing but just cussing me out. Another one of the best ones was getting yelled at by prostitutes in a place here in Lexington I was investigating.
What?
Yes, the place had been used. It was a hotel at one point. This was the Carnegie Library. No. This was what used to be the Phoenix Hotel. I might be wrong, but it used to be the Phoenix Hotel in downtown Lexington. And this was one of the first like out loud things I had done with like a group of people that I had been in charge of taking around and doing all my things with. Actually, this was the one I did with Steve Deshavi. This was the first time I worked with Steve Deshavi from the Deadfalls. He was doing his thing on a different level. we were on a different level. And I was like, so there's this group of women over here that keep yelling at me, and they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're prostitutes or women of the night. Like, so we started an EVP session, and they basically said, stop it, don't look, get out. And the whole point of it was I was ruining business. I was bad for business. So something about me, like seeing them and their customers were not going to come to them that night because I had a group of people in there in the middle of the night. Like, what are we doing? This is their busy time. So yeah, that one, I won't ever forget that one. That was my first like public event that I did. And it, yelled at my prostitutes.
So ghosts still get it on in the next realm. Okay.
I mean, I wasn't going to look, but it's a very weird night.
I would have been that guy. I'd have been like, oh, no, wait a minute. Hold on.
We got to see this.
That's the paramedic in me. I'd be like, no, hold on.
The best things that happen when you're investigating sometimes are not the scariest. It is the funniest ones. That is when stuff gets interesting.
Yeah, the same with Bigfooting. Yeah, exact same thing. So you're out there intensely looking for him. You go back to camp, and then a rock hits you in the back of the head out of nowhere, and you're like, "Where the hell were you 20 minutes ago?"
Right.
So yeah, it's the way it is. Well, speaking of that, do you believe in Bigfoot and things like that?
I do. I think there's a lot of possibilities for things. I live in a pretty heavily forested area. The Daniel Boone Forest is right where I live in the Red River Gorge. And there's a lot of weird things. I've got family from Eastern Kentucky, Appalachia. There's things. There are definitely things that I don't think we have all found yet. So I'm there for the Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing we found out in the woods. We went looking for a big hairy ape, and we found there's more to the big hairy monkey. But there's a whole lot of things out in the woods, things you just don't expect out in the woods.
Yes. There are a few rules I live by if I'm ever out like that. Like, I grew up in the country, and like I said, I've got family from Eastern Kentucky. There's things you just don't do in the woods. So
True. Very true. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've went out and we'd had everything from ET to, ghosts, paranormal, things we can't even explain. We had a woman in black find us, she found me, which is the weirdest. So yeah, everything weird has happened out in the woods, and it's just unbelievable to me because people are like, oh, you go camping and you're out there in the woods, have a good time. And I'm like, you have no idea what's around you.
Yeah. I've thought that before when I've been camping. I'm like, should I care right now, or should I just make my s'mores and go on with my night? So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a time and place when you want to see things and when you don't. So
that is very true.
Yeah. Like I said, I would prefer being out in the woods looking for it than have something in my home. But even doing this show, I don't know, a couple months ago, something was pulling my hair, and I asked the guest, I was like, do you know what this is? And she's like, yeah. I was like, could you tell it to stop? I don't like this. So, yeah.
Do you see things around people and you want to tell them, but you don't know how?
Yes. Not so much of a don't know how to tell them. I'm really careful because you never know what could be a trigger for something. And I would hate to do something or say something to someone and it sets them off, good or bad. Like,
yeah,
that's one of my things I'm very respectful for. I work in the medical field. So coming in contact with all the patients and working in hospitals, it is really hard sometimes to not let it slip or say something that kind of gives it away. I've had that happen a few times. Been talking to a patient, I'll mention something, and they're like, that's really odd. What makes you say that? I'm like, it's in your chart. Knowing good and well, there ain't nothing in that chart like that. But yeah, there's a lot of things I'd like to say to people, especially when it comes to again, what I do with their health, even if like I don't typically do health readings. So it's really hard when I do know stuff and I can't say anything because it's not medical. So it makes it difficult.
That
Yeah, I worked
would.
with a paramedic who, after a traumatic brain injury, he could see dead people. And when we would be going on calls and stuff, he's like, well, it's too late. What the hell are you talking? It's too late. And finally, it got to the point it drove, I want to say drove him crazy. That's not the right word, but it bothered him enough, and people working with him, they put him in training. So,
Dang.
yeah.
That's terrible, though.
Yeah, because literally we'd be pulling up on a car wreck. He'd be like, yeah, there's nothing we can do here. Like, we haven't even parked the ambulance yet. So,
It's maddening. It really is. I don't want to say it's easier if you've grown up with it, but I kind of want to say it is. Like you've learned how to either deal with it or not deal with it, or you don't mess with it. Like I can't imagine just having it thrust on you all at once. Like that seems like a lot, especially if you don't have a mentor or like a group support or something like that.
I think he ended up going and he actually watches the show occasionally. He's retired now. I think he ended up going and talking to some people and getting some, I don't know, guidance counselor or something. I don't know the right word, but and it's helped now that he's out in the field. So, but
Yeah.
I don't know that things don't still come around, but I don't really communicate with him that often anymore. So, but yeah, I can't imagine it would be maddening. And being in the medical field, this is always one thing that I've always wondered. We've run these calls with people who are sick, or maybe their level of consciousness is different than ours, and they say, "Oh, I see things or I hear things." Do they? You know what I'm saying? We're always quick to say they're mentally impaired or they're crazy or whatever, but
I mean, 100 years ago, I would have been committed. Like they straight up would have been like, she's hysterical, and my family could have stuck me somewhere and I would have been in all these horrible types of treatments. 300 years ago, I could have been burned at the stake. Like I think it's a very fine line when it's psychosis versus like actual something paranormal is happening. Honestly, though, I mean, if they're seeing something that makes them happy, who are we to tell them, hey, that's not real, unless it's something that's going to damage them or hurtful to them in the future. But I've seen my fair share of things with people passing or really close. And a lot of times, if you are mentally on a different level, if your brain waves are not functioning like they should at whatever age you're at, unless you're like a child, I mean, there's some research that shows you can tap into different things. You are seeing on a different wavelength than other people are. So yeah, I honestly believe they are seeing things sometimes, especially people close to the end or at that moment.
Yeah, I agree. But we touched on a little bit of quantum mechanics there, whether you meant to or not. So
yeah, I research things sometimes.
Yeah, there's a book out by Ron Moorhead. He talks about Bigfoot being able to basically be at I don't want to say frequency, but a different level than us, and that it's there and we just can't see it. And it's a pretty eye-opening book once you start opening your mind to, not just that there's things out there we don't understand, but that now we can prove scientifically and mathematically that exists.
Yeah, when you start talking about frequencies and stuff like that, there's so much more involved with it, and I'm learning every day. So, I mean, I use a lot of us use, especially even people who are investigating, different researchers will play different frequencies. You can get different responses from the body, different like stimulus can put you in a different frame of mind. Yeah, I've done a few, I don't know, I guess you would call them seances. I'm not really sure. Just some things I've conducted with different sounds, different lights, and stuff like that, it does make a difference. It can make it easier to kind of communicate or for things to come forward. I've definitely seen that.
What all tricks do you have in your tool bag?
I can't tell you all of them.
All right, give me 2. How about that? Or 1.
I think that, so I've used different frequencies. I've played different sounds, kind of just like when people try to meditate and stuff too. You'll put on a certain music or water in the background, whatever it might be. I think lighting, red lights. I know that looks like every other psychic you've ever seen in a movie or anything else with the cool red lighting going on. It just looked creepier. I had an experience when I was in England in March. We were at a old workhouse in Ripon. And my friend Nikki, who was another investigator, she was on the other side of this table. All of us were sitting down in this room. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. She had this red light and she got it out, and I hadn't really done too much with that kind of lighting, but it does allow your eyes to kind of unfocus a little bit more, and not just sets the mood too. But I was just channeling to the point where people started freaking out, like across the table and beside me and stuff. And I have no idea what's happening to my face. They're like, you don't look like you. They were seeing each person I was channeling physically take shape in my face. And I have photos that my friend was taking too. And my eyes aren't my eyes, but they are. It was weird. It was one of the weirdest things I've experienced. That was my first time in the UK. Whole different vibe over there when you're investigating too. There's a lot more different things. So the light was cool. I've used it a few other times by myself here at home just to see if it could help me kind of unfocus my eyes, kind of get in a different state of mind. Yeah, that one was really cool. And I mean, it was a long time too. It wasn't just like a second. This went over a matter of like 15 to 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really neat. It was probably the coolest part of the night.
Did you have any track of time during that, or
No.
You see, you kind of don't even remember it?
No, I don't remember. I couldn't tell you anything I said. I couldn't tell you exactly who it was. I mean, I was saying it, but no, for me, it felt like I was doing it for just a second. So yeah, wow. It was weird. The pictures were weird.
Being an optician, we use different color lenses within vision therapy. Like the red tint is for migraines, a blue tint is calming. So do you think like if you tried a different light, it would have a different reaction?
I think so. There's something I do when I'm doing energy work on somebody. I don't know what else to call it. I call it color therapy, color energy work, because that's why I do my drawings. That's why I do that as part of my readings, because that is how I see things first and foremost, is in color. That's how I see somebody, even buildings. And I will choose the color that feels like it corresponds with whatever they need. So yeah, I think this could be a fun experiment. I have an idea. Yeah, I think that if you set the tone, set the mood, I mean, like you said, people already associate colors with feelings and emotions or certain words. Yeah, I think if you were to play around with that, there would be different responses.
I think so too.
Have you ever wanted to do one electronically, like with people in different locations, kind of like this?
Yeah, I actually love doing that kind of thing. I've done like remote viewing and stuff like that before, where I've hopped in and not even had a video and just been on the phone with someone and be like, hey, what are you getting? And go in, and I don't ask me how we do it. We just do. We can just be there. And yeah, I would love to do that. That would be fun.
Yeah, we should not live, of course, but
right.
Set up something sometime, just as an experiment. So
that would be
I would
cool.
definitely be down for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to do this because I think That
I
could
have
be
a guest room, Shay. We can do the lights out here on the farm in the dark.
Haha. Yes.
Just saying.
and I'm gonna make my intent known that Bigfoot's gonna appear. So
It
Dude, if
is
that
called
happens,
Squatch River Farm.
I mean, if Bigfoot was to show up, I swear, I think I would just be like, "Well, man, how are you?" Like, I don't think I'd panic. I think I would just have a moment like I knew it all along.
He knocked over a few trees last night. I have pictures.
what?
Yeah, it's
Y'all get
up from
sticky
the
in Bigfoot
roots.
country.
Got up this morning, a whole just set of trees knocked over.
I'll be there in 48 hours. I want to see
And
this.
she wants me to come play in the dark with her. Doesn't that sound
Yep.
safe?
It
It's
does.
really neat because the lightning bugs get in the trees and it's like your own light show out here on the river. It's
I didn't
really
realize
neat.
you live that close to the water. There are a
We're
lot of
right on the
factors we could
river.
use for this.
Oh yeah.
Water has a lot of things too.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yes, it
absolutely.
does.
Yep.
Shay, have you ever been published? Have you written a book? Have you? You need to.
No, I have not. I have had several people over the years tell me that I should. I have a couple in mind. There's one that I've kind of started and messed with over the years, but I never have made the time for it.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
That'd be
I
good
would
to
love
start with your
to.
childhood.
I would
Yeah.
love to. I think that would be fun.
Yep.
Whether or not people would read it is a whole different thing, but
I would read it.
Aw.
You know I love you though, Shay.
Yeah.
It's like my show. I've got 2 fans. So you know.
It's
Hey,
whatever.
you've got me, Glenn. You interviewed
3
me and I
now.
just stayed.
That's right. That's right. Well, I have a feeling we're gonna have Shay on often too. So
I would love to.
yeah, I mean, because I do the Bigfoot thing and I do remote viewing, except I do mine more. I was trained by somebody that worked for a 3-letter agency, so I do it more mathematically. Like I'm given a target and then I can go to it. I can't give myself like go to the Battle of Antietam or whatever. Yeah, I can't do that. I don't think, but I've never tried. I don't know that I want to, but yeah, I'm always fascinated by things like that, and I'm fascinated by the Bigfoot. And here recently, with all the revelations by our government that there's ETs, or they're not called, they're UAPs now, right? So, or that's underwater, whatever it is, UFOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and that fascinates me because I don't know necessarily that they're from another planet, maybe another dimension. They're us from the future, maybe. I don't know. And it just fascinates me. Have you got any experience with ET?
Just one. I have always thought there were other things. I mean, it's a big universe or at least that's what we've been told. So I was at the Battleship North Carolina, the USS North Carolina, in Wilmington. And it was after an investigation. And I swear there's only been a few handful of these people in the world that I have ever trusted that what they say is that's it. That's concrete. My grandfather was one of them. And in his Bible, even that I have, there is written a couple of dates where he saw a ship. Him and his brother and him by himself, where they lived at in Syersville, McGoffin County in West Liberty. If you look it up on a map, it is one of the hot spots across our state that's known for having weird things happen like that. So I'm like, yeah, they exist. Leaving the battleship that night after investigation, it was 1:15. Had my friend Christy with me. She is also a psychic. And you know, what do you do when you leave an investigation at 1:15? You're hungry. We go look for a Taco Bell. What else do you do, right? So that was our mission. Our mission was to go to Taco Bell, get food, and then go meet everybody else at the house that we were all staying at. So we're in the car with us. Everybody else had already left, went back to the house. They went this way. We were going to go this way. Driving up the road that you have to take in order to get to the ship. We get to the end of the road. And we're like, okay, so let's pull up the directions for Taco Bell on the phone. So we're using my map, trying to figure out, are they open? Sure. All of a sudden, in the middle of us talking about this, there was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was a flash, but there was no noise. It was the brightest light I've ever seen. And when I saw whatever it was, whatever the shape was, it was a very strange shape. It almost reminded me of a Christmas ornament shape. And the only thing I can describe the color on the inside, the closest thing I can think of is welding sparks. That blue, white, intensely hot light is what it looked like. We saw it. We both looked up at the same time. Everything in the car and everything on our bodies, I don't know, the hair was standing up on our arms. Everything felt like if I touched it, it would shock me. It was weird. It was there and then it was gone. Like it just poof. I don't know, almost like it just disappeared. And me and her just sat there for a minute and we kind of looked at each other and we're like, what the hell was that? And I don't know. We were like trying to wrap our brain. Was it a firework? Was it a ship? Was it an airplane? Like, I know we're close to like there's a naval base or like an army base or something really close by in Wilmington. So I'm like, maybe they're testing some crap or something. I don't know. But we tried to drive to go see whether it was our smoke trail. Like we really put our investigating brains immediately into action. Good. And the next thing I know, we went and turned down the opposite way we were supposed to go. And then we couldn't see anything and I turned around. But when I turned around, the clock was not at 1:20 or 1:15. It was 2:10 in the morning. I don't know. Neither one of us knows. I wasn't driving that long. We have no idea what happened. So there's like a whole time that we don't account for, that we have no idea. To this day, if I called her up right now, she will tell you the exact same thing. We have no idea how we lost time. And it tripped me out more, the fact that I don't know what was happening for 45 minutes. So, and first of all, our friends never called to ask us if we were okay. I would just like to point that out, that they were at home partying already.
I was just thinking, there went Taco Bell. You missed out on Taco Bell.
We did. We got there and they closed the window in our faces. So not only was I missing time, but now I don't get tacos on top of it. So we settled for McDonald's, but
damn it, ET.
Right. So, but I literally have no idea what happened in that time span. I swear to you, all we did was turn around and drive. It was weird. We felt weird. We were still looking at our arms. We still had chill bumps. Like it was, I can't explain that. Messes with me to this day. And that was probably 2 or 3 years ago. So.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. I've had something similar. So yeah, we were out camping and a friend was going down a fire road and he was going to make sure it wasn't blocked off. We were going to use a campsite at the bottom of the fire road. I'm parked at the top of the fire road with my wheels turned to the right to go down the road. And he's on the radio. He's like, nah, let me go down there so we both don't have to turn around if it's not open. Okay, cool. Radio's back. Tells me it's open. Come on down. Literally a football field down a hill, fire road. For no apparent reason, I went straight for 45 minutes. And I have no idea why. I have no idea how. And when I came to my senses, I'm like, where the hell am I? And I stopped. I looked at my GPS and I'm like, I'm nowhere near where the hell I'm supposed to be. What the hell? And so I turn around and I go back and I thought, I'm just around the corner. No, I was like 25 minutes further into the forest. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was the funny, well, I shouldn't say funny, but weird thing. I had one of the old Garmins that would tell you, at the end of when you reset it for your gas tank, it would tell you how many miles, your top speed, blah, blah, blah. My top speed was like 199 miles an hour or something. It was some ungodly. I got a picture of it somewhere. And there's no way that old Jeep would have done 100, much less 200.
Okay.
So yeah, my friends are like, yeah, you got picked up. There's no way around.
Yeah.
So I had a couple
Yeah.
friends that were kind of joking about that, and I was like laughing too. But now the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
The time thing is what kills me.
That's weird.
I don't know.
It's a feeling if you're out of control. And that's the worst part.
Yeah, I don't do well with that.
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing when you feel like you were present and you weren't present. So, it's as a paramedic, I like to be in control of everything. It doesn't always work that way.
I'm a mom and I'm in nursing. Like, control is kind of like in our description. So yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Freaks me out a little bit.
Sure. Well, Shay,
what do you have coming up, Shay?
I was going to ask you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Glenn.
No, I was going to say I don't want to keep her here all night, and I was going to ask her if she's got anything coming up or anything on her agenda. Or
let me see. What are we in? This year's kind of flying by. July. Probably going to be doing. I'm probably gonna say it wrong. Mystical Market in Lexington. I think I'm gonna try and get in on August for that one. I don't remember the dates, but I will have everything posted on my socials. Gonna be doing some more lives. I've been going on live and just doing like a 1-card draw for people who hop on and want one for free, no charge, nothing like that. I just really enjoy doing those. Kind of a chance for me to, I don't know, help somebody out who might not be willing to always ask for the help sometimes. So you never know what you can get from that. I think the next investigation for sure that I'm going to be doing is in August. I'm going to be going to the Jefferson with the Tennessee Ray Chasers, be hanging out there with them that weekend in Texas. So it's going to be 1,000 degrees. Literally that's what it feels like in Texas in the summer, I've decided. So yeah, I don't know. I'm working on a few things right now that I'm trying to set up a few events for kind of just me and a very small group of people. I'll be posting more details on that. I'm trying to set some things up here in Kentucky. Some places that people don't know about yet. Some things I've learned from family members in Eastern Kentucky. So I have things in the works. I took a little time off to kind of focus on some family stuff and kind of like myself for the summer. So get back into it in the fall.
Yeah.
So Facebook, Shay Smith. I do have just a me page if people want to follow. Also, I have Shay Smith, my Southern Psychic Medium page as well. Post stuff on there. And I'm on Instagram, Psychic Artist Shay.
Okay. Will you come back on the show?
I think so. Yeah, I think I've had fun.
We weren't that mean. It was Amanda. It was me, not me. I was the good cop.
Oh no.
I'm a good cop. She's a bad cop. So
yes, I would love to come back.
Okay, cool. I'm going to shoot you a message because I got some questions about something that I don't want to put out over the air. So I'll ask you that if you don't care. You can look in your inner eye or whatever it is you do.
Okay.
Tell me I'm crazy. You wouldn't be the first. Shay, have a wonderful night. I appreciate you coming in and spending an hour with me.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. We will see you soon.
You.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
She was amazing. You get some cool friends.
I love Shay. Yes.
She was amazing. All right, let me push a button here real quick. And then our next guest is already backstage. So hold on 1 second here.
Hi, Rich Fields here, and come on down. It's time for the Sportcat Show.
I always do that for my executive producer to make it easier for her. So, or technically me. So, okay, well, if you only knew. Let's see. Our next guest is backstage, so I don't want to keep her waiting. She's an author, and well, you know what? I'm just gonna let her tell us about herself. How about that? That way I don't screw it up like I usually do. Hello, Steffanie. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. I'm Glenn, Sportcat, and this is Amanda.
Hi,
She's
Amanda.
my paranormal sidekick for tonight. We were looking forward to your interview because you got a great story. So I'm going to let you tell us about yourself, and then we'll just wing it from there.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
We're pretty easy. So.
So about myself. Oh, gee, what can I tell you? I'm dyslexic. So I say it's kind of ironic because I love writing, but I'm dyslexic and I have a hard time reading and writing. But I love it and I have such a passion for it. I don't look it, but I'm half Spanish. My dad's from Guatemala. I grew up in a tiny little town. And I actually got to meet my significant other from Australia. So my husband's from Australia. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know what else I could tell you about myself.
Well, how many books have you published?
So far, this is my first one. My second one is coming out in this coming month, August, but that's a children's book.
Okay. All right. What's it about? Well, actually, tell us about both of them. So.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you about the one coming out soon. In August 1st, there's a children's book I wrote. It's called A Stony Gaze, and it's kind of a twist or a spin on Medusa, and it teaches kids the harms and dangers of gossiping and thinking as a mob rather than as an individual. And yeah, so it's just a twist on Medusa. And basically, when Medusa looks at people, she's not trying to turn them into stone, but really, if someone's looking at her like an object, it just bounces back to them and they become the object. So.
Oh, okay.
Nice. That's good.
That's the children's book. But the one I currently have that we're here to talk about is Land of the Dragon. It's a historical fantasy. It's the best description I can tell you is kind of like a blend between kind of like a Narnia and Hunger Games situation.
Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, it takes place in the 1940s in Nazi Germany with the Kuhn family, and things aren't always what they seem. And their family has some secrets, and when they uncover these secrets, they have to they realize they're making a run for it, which ultimately leads them to a whole nother fantasy-like world. And the basic, I guess, theme to Land of the Dragon is that a nation that forgets its identity can easily be manipulated or corrupted. That's kind of the theme. And then another, I guess, theme to it is that power can corrupt even the most ambitious person.
It's very true. When you say it's historical, so you went back and did a lot of research on the era and the time, and was it on a specific family, or is the family the alternate part?
Well, it's during the family lives during the 1940s in Nazi Germany, and it just kind of shares a lot about what it was like to live during that time, the fear they went through, and if you couldn't really voice your true beliefs or thoughts. If you're, I guess back then, what was politically correct, if you didn't believe that, your family was in danger of being killed even.
Yeah. So what made you interested in that era?
Okay, so as a little girl, my next door neighbors were actually, they immigrated to Canada and they were from Nazi Germany. And the man, he actually even was a Nazi. So they told me all these stories when I was growing up. They've passed on since, but they told me all these war stories and horrible things they had to witness and see. And it just made me fascinated as a girl. I was like, wow, like it was almost crazy because, you know, we're privileged enough to not have gone through that time, that it was like a big story to, you know, it was like kind of an adventure to me to listen to these crazy stories and stuff like that. And I was like, what? That's like so
Yeah.
unreal, you know? So that's what got
Right.
me really fascinated into that time period in history. And I just kept researching and finding so much information, things that we weren't even really shared in school because I think they were a little too graphic to be shared in school. I interviewed as a girl tons of veterans and people that lived at that time, you know, in the war and what it was like living there. I think we forget how amazing we have it compared to, I guess, the past.
Yeah, definitely. Those are some interesting stories.
Yeah.
In the bigger picture, it wasn't that long ago either, you know?
It was.
Right.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
another thing is I think it wasn't that long ago, and it's things that are like there's so much patterns and in history that we can learn from, that society can grow from. And if we're not vigilant in remembering those things, then we're going to repeat them eventually. So that's why I thought, you know, this is a very important topic. And I'm a huge fantasy fan, right? I love fantasy. I remember being a little girl and playing outside, and every time the wind would blow, I'd look up in the sky and be like, oh, it's an invisible dragon. It's flying past. You know? So I was just really, really into fantasy. I used to watch, you know, the good old classics like The Dark Crystal or The Labyrinth and
Mhm.
The Last
Oh,
Unicorn, things like that. Like
yes.
I just eat up.
Never-ending story.
Yeah, The Never Ending
Yeah.
Story.
Yes, those are some of my favorites too.
So yeah, I really wanted to create a really good story with fantasy, but I also wanted to add a good like purpose behind the story, and also help, you know, different generations remember the past and be able to recognize patterns from the past that can easily be repeated even today if we're not careful.
Yeah, you're right. It's well, that's the saying. We're doomed to repeat it if we don't learn from it. So
Exactly.
And a lot of
Exactly.
kids these days don't realize how good they have it.
no.
We're spoiled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Did you have any one particular artist that, or not artist, author, that kind of you like to follow or you were inspired by?
There are like stories that I really like. Like I said, I grew up being dyslexic. It was a huge struggle for me for most of my life. It was hard for me to read a book and understand it because I was so focused on trying to make out what was being said that at the end I would read something and I'd be like, what did I just read? But a lot of my stories, you know, I got from watching things, or I'm a huge storyteller fan. I love, you know, and there's so many books that I used to feel so sad as a child where, you know, like Harry Potter, all these kids be like, oh, did you read this? And I'm like, no,
No.
I wish I could have, you know, like, because like I'm a 90s baby, and you know, when I was a kid, their audiobooks were kind of limited. It wasn't as prevalent as it is now. I wish it was, because then I would have dived into so much more, right? But yeah, no, but there are, I guess, storytellers in different kind of forms. Like I said, the Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal. There are certain stories and people that direct things that I'm like, I admire, and I did follow, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're amazing, because I believe it's still kind of like writing, but in a different media.
Sure. Well, is it okay if I ask you about your dyslexia? I mean,
Yeah, go for it.
so you were diagnosed as a child, but how did they come to find out? I mean, what made the parent or a doctor say she's dyslexic? First off, how do you get diagnosed?
So dyslexia is one of the, I guess, disabilities that needs more research, you could say. They're learning a lot more now and recognizing it a lot more now than they did when I was a child, to be honest. It was something they kind of were trying to learn about. Like, you couldn't really diagnose it when I was a child.
Okay.
But I do remember being young, like being very little, and they took me to a specialist or a doctor in like Edmonton, and this university conducted all these tests on me to try to learn more about it. My parents didn't really realize what was going on until I was about probably in grade 2 or 3. I remember trying to go through the alphabet and I would really struggle. And my dad was like, "Oh, why?" He didn't understand no one understood what was going on. Like I said, I grew up in a small community. I actually felt a little traumatized from school because, like, grew up in a small community, and I remember standing up and they're like, each of us taking turns reading out loud, and it would be my turn, and I'd be like sweating bullets because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know, right? And then I'd be trying to like read out loud, but I couldn't, so I would go quiet, and I've had teachers smack me across the face just in front of
Oh my
everybody.
gosh.
And I felt so embarrassed and I felt so degraded. And being little, you don't understand exactly. You just feel like you did something horribly wrong, but you didn't understand that really it wasn't your fault. So like, it really situations like that, growing up in the school, or them calling me dumb or things like that, some of the teachers, it really set me back in my progress with school, right? It just freaked me out. And it wasn't years later till I decided, my husband convinced me, he pep talked me into going back for a higher education because I was so scared, because I had all these kind of not good memories, and I was like, but I'm a bad student and I don't think I can. And but yeah, I went back to school and I found out I wasn't a bad student. I was actually a really good student, more than I realized.
Proved him wrong.
Yeah.
What did your family think, knowing you were dyslexic, and then you're like, I wrote a book?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are surprised because, I was kind of like, growing up, I was kind of a closet writer. Like, I loved telling stories and stuff like that. My family knew my passion for storytelling, but none of like the outsiders or friends knew that much. I feel like I was kind of underestimated. They're like, haha, sure, you'll write a story. Because yeah, Land of the Dragon is a story I started when I was 12, and I've never let it go. And all my friends are like, why don't you just do a new story? Why don't you just let this be? Like, you've taken forever to do this story. And I'm like, well, I am not going to publish it until I'm satisfied, until it's where I can feel comfortable and feel like, yes, all my hard work is for something. It's at a spot that I know it's ready to be.
It's a piece of you.
Exactly. I took my time to really layer it, detail it. There's a lot of symbolism in there. Wanted to make sure all the research that I did and incorporated was correct, and that it was presented in a way that can really hit the audience, because that's like the whole purpose, is to really help inspire people, or to make a change, or to overcome maybe trauma in a safe environment. So that's really my purpose behind this book, is really, I really hope to like touch other people's hearts. Like, that's really the purpose of Land of the Dragon. I have some other stories, I develop to the side, but my main focus has been Land of the Dragon. The other stories are more for fun, for a fun read, but this one is really to inspire people and to remind them of the history in our past history, and to point out patterns in society so we don't repeat those.
It sounds like an amazing story.
Thanks. Hopefully people like it. It is an award-winning book.
That's
It
what I was
has,
going to ask.
yeah, I
Wow.
read your mind. But yeah, it's won 2 awards so far. It's been nominated for quite a bit of awards, a lot that I didn't expect. So I'm still waiting to hear back about those ones. But it's won a Literary Titans Award in the gold category, which is awesome. And then it won and I hope I say this right, it's such a long name, International Impact Book Award, or Impact International Book Award. I always get it backwards because my dyslexia, but yeah, it won an award there. And then currently I just found out that it's been nominated for another award that I wasn't expecting, but that's the Whitney Award, I think it was. But yeah, so I'm waiting. Won't know until next year in January, but yeah.
Wow,
So far it's doing good.
congratulations.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
that's awesome.
Thanks.
Have you thought about writing a children's book on dyslexia to help kids kind of get through what you went through?
I haven't thought about it, but I am starting to look at there's special text you can incorporate in children's book that helps dyslexic kids to read it clear. There's a special text for dyslexia. So
Okay.
I'm thinking my next children's book of incorporating that text in there.
Yes, that would be neat.
When you say text, do you mean like a font or?
Yeah, like there's a special font that they've developed for dyslexia, and it makes it easier. Like it doesn't take it away, but it's easier for dyslexic people to read.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't
That's-
even know. Do you know what font it is?
I can't remember the name of it, but I have seen it. I have seen
Yeah.
it before. It does help calm down the words, which is nice. Another tactic that dyslexic people use is they'll use different colored bookmarks. So they'll put different bookmarks that are kind of see-through, but they have a color. And it depends on your dyslexia because there's different types. But they put it on the page and it calms down the words. Like mine, I use a blue text, and that helps. Calms things down for me. There's other strategies, thank goodness, because like that's what people are like, how do you do it? Because I write a book and I do journalism for a living, so all I do is write. And it does take me longer than normal writers. Like I do. And I'm also very annoying to be around when I'm writing because I'm constantly like, Siri, how do you spell this? And then I'm getting angry at Siri because I'm like, I didn't say that. I said this, you know? So, yeah, you'll hear me cursing at Siri. And I'm like, I didn't say that word, you know, because I'm trying to write as fast as I can. But I'm having a hard time because Siri's spelling the wrong word. But, yeah, there's different tools, thank goodness for technology. My computer reads things out loud to me. So does my phone. I have tools to help with my grammar as well. Also, yeah, Siri. I bug Siri a lot for spelling.
Does she cuss you back?
Sorry?
So does she cuss you back?
She says she won't respond to that.
I will not respond to that. Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like just getting more angry at her. I don't have time for this, Siri.
I love to just ask random things. It's so fun.
Amanda, you had talked just a little bit ago about different colored lenses and stuff. Had you ever heard anything like this for?
No, but I worked with a vision therapist for several years when I first became an optician, and we used different color lenses to help children focus. And blue was the calming for like ADHD. And then I would use a red lens because I have really bad migraines. So the red takes away the UV light, and you can use different color lenses for things like that, for even, your own things like ADHD and migraines.
So
So it makes sense, to use that blue to calm the words.
it's interesting about dyslexia, and it's funny because they don't call it. I was informed. Oh, you asked a question, I didn't even answer it, but you said when I was officially diagnosed. I wasn't officially diagnosed till like almost 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so they knew I had it, and then when I got tested officially, they're like, "Oh yeah, you have it very severe. Like you're one of the most severe cases we've seen." So,
Wow.
Thanks, Doc.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that makes me feel so much better."
Right.
It was so much worse before, though. I feel like I've really come a long way. Where like I used to have maybe a reading level of like grade 3 because it was so bad, but I read every single day. And when I read every single day for an hour, it really combated it. It pushed me a lot higher, like to be better with it. I just learned my own kind of tactics to calm myself down. And now it hardly bugs me except when I'm nervous. Then it really acts up. Like if I have to read something out loud for a reading or for reporting, then I'm like, oh, dang.
Uh,
Because I'm like, oh, dear. Okay, I have to calm my nerves. So
mhm.
usually I like to try to memorize it if I know that I'm having to do that, because then I don't, yeah, doing it on the spot's a little nerve-wracking.
Do you wear prescription? Like, do you have contacts or glasses you wear?
I don't really need glasses except
Okay.
more recently, if I'm tired, I guess one of my eyes is like not as clear as the other when I'm tired, so I
Everybody
swear.
has one weaker eye than the other. I was going to say you could probably even get a pair of glasses that have tinted blue lenses
Oh, that'd be
just for reading.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea. Actually, I never thought of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's I've been diagnosed not that long ago officially. We always knew I had it, but I officially got it diagnosed not that long ago. Um, and I was going to answer another question that was said, but I can't remember what it was.
We're full of questions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your story is great, and you really should probably be a spokesperson for that little girl that's in school now that, nobody understands what she's going through. You've walked it.
Right.
You've been in her shoes.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely learned that like no matter what is holding you back, because I know like for me have such a big passion for writing. I love it, but it's a weakness at the same time, right? So I had to work extra hard, harder than other people and harder than other students to kind of get where I'm at. And there have been times where I'm like, it's so unfair. I'm at such a disadvantage than everybody else. But it's worth it. And I think if you have a passion in something, even if it's a weakness, don't let it hold you back. Just work really hard. If you're really serious, put in the practice, because the more you practice, the better the outcome will be.
That's right.
And don't ever let anybody tell you can't do something, because
Exactly. Like I remember being a little girl and I was still working on Land of the Dragon. Someone in my class kind of laughed at me and they're like, "You know what? Our teacher wanted to publish a children's book and he couldn't. So what makes you think you can?" And like for me, I'm very stubborn, and I feel like when someone pushes me, I go the opposite way just to spite
Yes.
them a little bit.
Yes.
good.
So
Good.
that's why I was
I
like,
did
it
the
was a little
same
bit of
thing.
motivation, right? It's like, I'm gonna show you.
Yes. I weighed 97 pounds and my mom told me I couldn't be a wrestler. I went to wrestling school anyway and proved her wrong.
That's right. Yeah. See?
That's what you have to do. Prove them wrong.
Exactly.
Well, plus, it sounds like you had some mean teachers. I thought I did. Holy cow.
Yes.
My goodness.
Right?
All I can say is small towns have big secrets sometimes. So
Yeah.
there are stories for sure about the school system in my small town. It was a crazy, like, not going too much into it, but we had a teacher that was punching students and throwing chairs at students. So
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
it was crazy.
You do that
they
today
still
and you're under
teaching?
the jail.
I
Right?
know they couldn't get away with it now, but back then, I'm
No.
surprised. I'm surprised she got away with it. But yeah,
Yeah. Even then, I mean, you're a 90s kid. I'm surprised.
oh yeah, it was like I said. I grew up in a small town. It was a retirement town, so a lot of the beliefs were really what's the word I could use? Outdated. They were
Yes.
outdated.
Yeah.
It's
So,
kind
yeah,
of
and
that way in a lot of small towns.
And like even in the school system, like even if they know they done bad, they all protect each other.
Right.
So,
In that small town.
Yep. Yep.
I live
Now,
in a small town. I'm familiar.
you know,
I'm the
everybody knows
outcast.
yeah, the black sheep of the small town.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I feel you. My family, like I said, I'm half Spanish. My siblings, when I show people they're my siblings, they're like, no, because my brothers are completely opposite. They have a beautiful, rich, darker tone than me. They have black hair, brown eyes, and everybody's like, that's your brother? And I'm like, yeah. And then so half my family were blonde with blue eyes, and the other half are like, beautiful melon color, and then, brown eyes, dark hair. So yeah, we're a very mixed kind of race family going into a small town that's very, I guess everybody's related to everybody, but we're not related to anyone. So
Right?
yeah, it was interesting, that's for sure.
Oh,
you're in
goodness.
Canada, right?
No, yeah. Let's just say I avoid that small town because
Yeah.
we didn't have the best experience growing up there, that's for sure. Kids
Yeah.
are really mean, and
Yes.
parents are very judgmental.
Yeah. And it's in Canada?
Yeah, and I live in Alberta, so
Okay. Bigger town now.
I'm in a small city.
Yeah.
I'm out of a small town, but I'm in a small city now.
There you go.
I feel blessed to have grown up in a much larger county, and so yeah, I didn't have
Yeah.
that to go through. But that's the way.
I'm
that's
still
what
in
me-
my small town.
Well, I mean, it was only 5 years ago I moved away from there with my husband, but I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not putting my kids in the school. Like, I can't. I was too scared. I was like, no. I was scared
Oh,
to put my
gosh.
kids in school when they were old enough because of my experience. I was like, what if they get hit and we don't know? And,
Right.
but like I
Yeah.
learned very quickly that things are very different than when I was a kid growing up, and
Yes.
the schools are much more, I guess, in terms of teachers trying to hurt, they're more careful. Like they're not
Mhm.
it's not like before. That's
Right. They'll get arrested now.
exactly. If they're caught,
That
they'll
would be
get
true, yeah.
arrested.
Yeah, and they should. But and
Yes.
we all say that as we get older. Well, it's not like when I was a kid, you know.
Yes.
I know. I feel like an old person, or we're
Right.
the new generation's like, the old people in the 90s. And I was like, oh, how dare you? I was like, I'm not old. You don't even know
You
what
were
old is.
you were born in the 1900s. That's what my son says.
I'm like, you don't know the meaning of old, children.
They show you what old is. That's funny. Yeah. Your music is now classic rock, so.
And then right, and then now I'm like quoting "In My Day," and I'm like, oh wow, that's yucky. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Have they watched Labyrinth?
It hurts my soul if I hear someone hasn't watched the Labyrinth. I'm like, we need to remedy that. You have to watch the Labyrinth. Like, you haven't lived until you watch the Labyrinth.
I even have a Labyrinth magnet on my refrigerator.
Yeah, I love with David Bowie.
Yes, with the hair.
Yeah, and then they did a new on Netflix. They did that new series of The Dark Crystal, and they did a beautiful job. And then they shut it down, and I'm like, oh, how dare you! You can't do this to us.
Oh my gosh. So are your kids the inspiration for your children's book?
Well, my inspiration, yes and no. Well, I guess my inspiration is from experiencing, like, I don't know, being on the receiving end of the gossiping or the you know, people thinking in a group polarization way, I've been on the receiving end more times than I would have liked, but so I think feeling that, I'm like, you know what, this is bad. We need to change this. We should start with the kids. We should do a story about that. It was during COVID I really developed a stony gaze, is what it's called. And I actually, it's funny, I actually developed the book as an assignment in my post-secondary. So, and then my instructor was very supportive. She's like, this is amazing. Like, you should really think about getting this published. And then I actually did a play with a whole bunch of little younger with youth that did a play of a stony gaze during COVID time. So, well, near the end of COVID time when things were starting to open up again, but we still had, like, we were still had the cautions in place. But yeah,
that's so cool.
One question to follow up: is there any science that says that this is genetic, to where you could pass it on, or your kids' kids, or?
So, interesting thing about dyslexia. Oh, another thing is, I guess they don't call it dyslexia anymore. They call it a reading and writing impairment. Where I'm like, that's so silly. I'm just gonna call it dyslexia, just because
a lot more words.
Yeah,
these with words, more words.
And you can't actually be diagnosed by a doctor. You have to be diagnosed by a psychologist.
Okay.
So it's a special.
I would have thought an eye doctor. Just not being trained, but
so like they do a whole bunch of kind of psych tests to evaluate or conclude. And it's interesting because when I had it done, the doctor told me, or the psychologist told me, that dyslexia is a package deal, meaning if you have dyslexia, you don't just have dyslexia. You have ADHD or ADD, you have anxiety, you have a whole bunch of things. So it comes as a package. Like,
nice.
So like I have ADHD, I have a reading impairment, writing impairment, and I had bad anxiety. So it's a whole package deal, right?
Right.
And they said that dyslexia is actually a sister disability to being on the spectrum, which I didn't know. I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Sometimes when you have dyslexia, you're also on the spectrum. But everybody's different. That's the interesting thing they're discovering. That's why I think they took it out of just categorizing it as dyslexia, because it's built differently depending on the person. Some people, like my husband, it was interesting. My husband got tested too and found out that he has a form of dyslexia as well. So he has, I think it was a reading impairment. He has ADHD. What else? Yeah, that's what he had. Like, everybody's different. Some people have more than others. Like some people that are dyslexia also are on the spectrum. So it's like it's a sister sickness to dyslexia being on the spectrum, right? So, and they said if you have it, there's a 60% chance your kids can inherit it. Yeah, he said between 40 to 60% your kids can get it. But because I'm dyslexic and my husband's dyslexic, and I guess his mom, he didn't know, but his mom was like, "Oh, I'm dyslexic too." So he's like, "I never knew that." So, yeah, it wasn't until we were kind of tested that they were like, "Oh." So,
So
yeah.
have you noticed it in your kids yet? Are they
My-
having trouble reading or anything?
Well, my oldest is very, very clever. I was quite surprised. Like we put him on a reading program when he was just like a couple of months old, and he's 8. He's reading advanced chapter books. So he's a very clever boy. But I have noticed that he definitely has ADHD, but no problem with reading. My second oldest, he is autistic. So we did notice that, and he has ADHD. All our kids have ADHD. They're bouncing off the walls.
All have to get the blue lenses.
That's right. So yeah, my little girl, she's only 3, so I don't know yet. And then I just had a baby, and my baby's a month, so I don't know. I don't know about the 2 youngest, but I think my oldest, he's a very smart, clever boy. But he definitely has ADHD, but nothing else. My second one, he has autism, and he's very, very clever with math, which I'm not. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's how my son and I are.
yeah. So yeah, he's amazing. The teachers say he's well above his years with his math. So I'm like, yay.
Yes.
You used a word there that I like. You said a sickness, and I like to hear it described as that, because that means there's some treatment.
Well, that's what the psychologist called it. He said it was a sister sickness. That's how he referred to it. But for dyslexia, there's no pills or anything other than if you have ADHD. For the reading and writing impairment, there's tools to try to combat it, to make it easier. But there's no, so far, there's no big solution to take it away. But he did, like, when he assessed me, he did write a letter of recommendations for me. Like, he recommended I take some pills to help with the ADHD, or maybe with the anxiety a little bit. And then he recommends that I have a certain diet to help, which is interesting. Just like certain things to help combat it, or sometimes, like, he was saying not to drink any caffeine, which is interesting. Yeah.
I didn't do that. That's not possible.
Right?
It's not possible.
Everything works together. Everything has a reaction to this, and everything is connected in our bodies.
Exactly.
So one thing leads to another that leads to this. So it all
yeah,
connects someone.
he can make certain recommendations, but there's, like I said, it's just your brain is actually wired differently. Like, the way you view the world is differently. Like, I think there's even a show about dyslexic minds, and it's kind of interesting. We just think differently, we tick differently, we're kind of out of the box thinkers, and it's actually, it can be a gift, if you know how to utilize it and learn how to work with it or utilize it in life. It can be an advantage in some ways.
Definitely. That's awesome. It's great to see what you've done, becoming an author, after all your struggles. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
You're kicking its butt.
Well, it's bittersweet. Sometimes bitter, sometimes it's sweet.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever had any problems like that. I'm slow, but that's a different thing. But as far as a medical treatment, I had never had thought about it. I guess there's nothing they can do. I mean, you just kind of got to conquer it,
It's just, I think we're all different, unique people. And and that's what's hard with schooling for people that struggle with that, because the way the school system is built is just for it's not flexible for those that are wired differently or see the world in a different way, and that's the hard thing. I hope that in the future, as we learn more, that can be remedied to help those that have I guess they call it learning disabilities, but I don't know if it really is. They even did, like, if you look at history too, it's funny because those with ADHD and ADD, they found that it was actually something that was kind of an evolutional thing in humans, and those that are like the hunter and gatherer kind of thing, it helped. It was a revolutionary thing or like something they developed in our genetic makeup that actually benefited the hunter and gatherers, specifically the gatherers. So like it would just make them gather more, and that's how. So that's what I'm saying. In certain areas, it's actually a gift. It's actually something that humans have developed more as time has progressed to help survive. So it's not like we see it now as a disability, because I think it's more the school system that might be at a disability, because, they've only developed one way to teach. But really, humans, we're all different. We have different genetic makeup and everything. We're built differently. You can't you can't find someone the exact same as you. So I think it's really, we just need to develop different learning methods for those that are different, really.
Yes. Yeah, that way you don't fall behind.
Exactly.
Yes. It's awful to put everyone in that box when it's a much larger box.
That's the thing. It's real. That's why it can be hard, like for me, I absolutely despise tests. And I don't know. I heard a rumor that they're getting rid of them in the US because they don't actually, the testing doesn't accurately measure your knowledge, right? Like for me, I feel like I can show things a lot better and show what I've learned through work, through assignments. I can show my knowledge better that way than through a test that is just asking questions, because I guess in my mind I overcomplicate it. I'm like, what do you specifically mean? Like, I feel like you're just saying there's a box, but I want to know what's in the box. Like this question could be taken so many different lanes, and before I know it, I'm thinking of like elephants, because like my train of thought leads so far, goes so fast that I'm like, how did I even get on purple elephants? I don't know. But originally I was thinking of this,
Oh gosh. I'm the person who tries to simplify everything. So when it told me to find X, I just circled the X and said, there it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just like, you need it. If you want a certain answer, you need to be very specific with how you word your question, or else you're just going to get something wild.
Yes.
True.
So I'm like,
funny.
I don't know. And then I debate sometimes. I'm like, this was poorly worded. I don't know. I'm terrible. I debate with my teachers now, and then they're like, okay, I can see your point. I can see how that was poorly worded. And I'm like,
yes.
Like, I don't know what you mean. Like, this could mean so many things. You need to be very specific. I only run into that problem with like man teachers though, because like I said, I feel like men are good writers though, especially with journalism, because journalism is very simple and to the point, and it has details but doesn't at the same time. It's not very detailed or emotional, right? any emotion in journalism is supposed to be through someone's statement, not through your own opinion. So I feel like guys are very good at cut and dry writing like that. They're to the point. Like, there's the box, where girls are like, but what's in the box? Like, there needs to be so much more details. Like, I feel, but it
Can we decorate this box with glitter, please?
exactly. So yeah, I only run into that problem with guys. I'm like, you're the way you worded it is just so simple that it's not. It's not for a woman, because it could this question could go down so many different lanes, like when really it's just straightforward for other guys.
What type of journalism do you do?
My beat, I'm on maternity leave right now, but my beat is homelessness and crime.
Oh
wow.
Okay.
So I see a lot of sad things sometimes, well, a lot of the time I see a lot of sad things, and a lot of crazy scenarios that I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm on a reality TV show, because this is absolutely insane what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm a
And it's
paramedic.
everywhere.
I get it.
Yeah. Oh, you're a paramedic, so you've seen some crazy things too.
Yeah, just one or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Atlanta. So yes, I have.
Oh my goodness. Well, good on you. I don't think I could mentally handle what you do.
Well, you have to drink a little bit, but it all works out.
Just a little.
It's taken years of counseling to get past these things. So.
Oh, that's another thing about my book that kind of surprises me. Like, the audience, my target audience for my book is really anywhere from, like, it's a young adult book, so anywhere from 16 to like 35 or something, right? Or sometimes even the older people like it because it has a lot of historic information in there, but yeah, I find it interesting because my writing's very detail and orientated, right? But a lot of men really like the book, so I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting and surprising that a lot of men,
read it.
I think it's because of the war aspect. I think that's what it is. They're like, yeah, war. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of like, and there's even a little bit of romance in there as well. So I'm like, I'm just surprised. And the book is written in first person perspective. So you only know what the character knows. Okay. But it's a little twist to it because it switches between three perspectives. So it takes you through the story in different perspectives.
Nice.
Well, I can't wait.
I need to find out. I got to get a copy from you. We wouldn't be a paranormal show if we didn't ask you. Do you believe in the paranormal?
I do. I've had experiences.
What kind of spooky experiences have you had?
Oh my goodness. I've had a lot, too many to count. I guess it's also in my culture that we really believe in the paranormal. There are some, I guess, encounters that I feel with spirits that I've encountered that have just made my hair stand on end. Like a quick one is, I remember one time I was babysitting. And I feel very sensitive to things, meaning like I can feel when I feel like I'm not alone. I know when I'm not alone. I really feel energy. Like I know when someone's really angry or even historically, I feel like sometimes we leave what's called an echo of energy, But anyways, this one time I was babysitting. And I hear the little girl that I was babysitting, I was making her lunch, and she was downstairs playing in the playroom. And I heard her scream, like a blood-curdling scream. And I ran down there, and I was like, what's wrong? And she's just bawling her eyes out. She would have been like probably 3 years old or around there. And then there's a corner in the room that's under renovation, and she points to like the darkest area in the room. And she's like, that man's scaring me. And I look and there's like nothing there but darkness. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go upstairs now. We're going to
Oh
play
my God.
upstairs. It was really, really like all my hair stood on end. I'm like, okay, let's go. You know?
Oh my gosh.
Or like even, it was interesting. This is crazy, but I was at a garage sale and this person took me aside because I was like, do you guys have any war things or like historical things? And the man took me to the side of the house because he didn't want to offend anybody. But he pulled out this bucket full of world like Nazi things. Like he had a Nazi pin. He's like, this pin was taken off of a dead body, like from another soldier, like from a Nazi that was killed, from a US soldier took the pin off. And he placed it in my hand, and right away it was like, I don't know, I kind of jumped just because I felt so much bad energy. And he was like, I'll sell it to you for like $40. And I'm like, I'm not taking this to my house.
There's something attached to this, sir.
You know, I was like, that's just bad jube, like bad energy, you know, like, no,
You
thank
have to like
you.
wrap it in sage and let sage burn
I know.
all the energy off.
No, there's definitely like I said, I think our energy is very, like, energy can be very strong in people when people have bad intentions or dark intentions. I feel like it can be left on things, you know? That's what I mean by like an
Definitely.
echo. So that's what I call it.
Mhm. I think that's a good
interesting,
word
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen a ghost?
Not, I can't say that I've fully, I feel like I've seen good spirits, but not, okay, well, I don't like to talk about it very much because it was very dark, but I believe I have seen something in the past that was really, really, really bad. Like from what I've seen, I've kind of put together my own thoughts about, I guess, the other side. Like I think, for example, when someone's doing something really bad, or is not in a mentally good spot, I think there's some bad things that influence that. And sometimes I feel like I can feel that that person is being followed by something really bad that's trying to drag them down, you know? So I definitely think that sometimes things are attached to other people that we don't know about, or some people get scared and don't want to acknowledge it, or it's easier to put blame somewhere else or somewhere that makes more logical or scientific kind of sense. But I do believe that, you know, that kind of spiritual thing goes along with science. Like even scientists have said that they notice when someone passes away, their body is actually lighter. So
I've heard that, yeah.
yeah.
Well, how about this? Have you ever experienced anything like a Bigfoot?
A Bigfoot. I do actually believe in Bigfoot. So
Good.
yeah. I haven't seen Bigfoot. Nope. I hope not to. I don't know. I've run into some really interesting and weird situations. So I'm just like, oh, what's next? Like me and my family ran into a bear. We almost got attacked by a bear. We were so lucky. Yeah, my husband, well, we were just walking down this trail and my son stops, my oldest, and he just pauses and he's like backing up slowly, but not saying anything. And then my husband was like, oh, and then I look up ahead. I'm like, oh no. And there's this big bear. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to die this way. This is an awful way to die, especially when I feel like so vulnerable because I have all my kids with me. So we just
Right.
turn around and we start to walk, but then the bear starts to charge. So we turn around again and then it slows down. And every time we turn our back, it's like charging. So I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, what do we do? It's following us. And my son, my middle son starts to run. I'm like, don't run. You're gonna make it.
Yeah,
Like,
they say you're not supposed to run. Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it black bear up there or is it grizzly? I don't know.
It was a grizzly.
Oh my gosh.
So it was so bad. And then my husband finally was like, hey, it's charging when we walk. We need to stop and stand our ground. So he stood in front of us. My husband's a big man. Like, I'm only 5'1". I'm a tiny short girl, and he's 6'1". So he stood there, and then he stood his ground and just stared at it, and it just stopped and stared at him, and he was pretty close to it. And then it stood up, and I was like, oh no. So then my husband raised his hands above, right?
You look taller.
And then the bear raised one of its paws up. And I was like, oh dear. And it was a grizzly. It was a male for sure. And I think it was just a teenager, because he was sizing my husband up, seeing like, my husband was like, just go take the kids. And I'm like, no, we're in a group. I feel like if I leave you, it's going to attack for sure, because
Right.
I think we intimidate it in a group. But it kept looking past him like it wanted to get to me and the kids, because I'm such a short person. I could blend in. Like, my 8-year-old's almost as tall as me. So, so I'm like, I'm not going to leave you because you're going to get attacked or something. So he eventually just stared the bear down in the eyes. My husband was slightly taller than the bear, probably like an inch or two. And then the bear decided that it wasn't worth it. So then it went down and went out of the trail and just kind of ran off. Wow. So it was, then after the bear was leaving, my husband, I can see his legs trembling, but he wasn't during when the bear was there. I think it was the adrenaline, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, and that was our second bear encounter. So my husband, he's from Australia, and
he's Crocodile Dundee, man.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know what you Canadians think. Everybody's saying that Australia is so dangerous. And he's like, you guys have it dangerous. You have bears and mountain lions and wolves and all this stuff. He's like, we just like, we're safer than you guys. You guys have the scary stuff, not us.
Right. That's fantastic. Wow, that's scary though. That had to be terrifying.
Oh, it was. It was so scary. We're like, oh, we lived. You know, we're like, never again.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Wow. That's a great story. I mean,
yeah.
I
would have freaked out. I mean, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
You know, when I went,
we were lucky we didn't take our dog with us. That would have totally we're so close to taking our dog with us. That would have tantalized the bear. The bear definitely would attack, because my dog is like, my dog looks like a fox, but like it has so much fight in it. It would not have, we would have had to let the dog run loose or something. And I would have been so sad, because that's my dog.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Hey, you know what they got to say? You've only got to run as fast as the guy behind you. So yeah.
Push the other guy and run. That's
right. Well, Steffanie, I've had a great visit with you. Tell everybody where they can find you, and about your book, where they can find it.
Definitely. So I have a website. It's at landofthedragon.ca, because I'm in Canada, and also because Calm was taken, sadly. So it's landofthedragon.ca. I'm also on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitter, well, X they call it. And then my book can be found on Amazon. It can also be found on Ingram Sparks, on Google Play, the digital copy. I don't know what it's called. It's like everywhere. My book is everywhere. But yeah.
Okay. Well,
amazing.
We will put that in the description afterwards, and then I will look you up on Facebook too. And is it available in Kindle form?
Yeah. Okay. It's available in Kindle. Well, ebook. Yeah. It's available hardcover, paper cover, and ebook.
Okay. And your children's book's out next month?
August 1st. It'll be out on Amazon first and Ingram Sparks.
Okay.
So, and that's available in paperback and hardcover. I don't have it on digital just because it is a children's book.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So
that's
cool.
so cool. I'm glad you took the time to come visit with us. Especially with the new book coming out. I didn't know about that. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for letting me share.
Hey, no, we're glad to. And we keep in touch with Mickey all the time. So keep in touch with us. If you got something else coming up, let us know. We'd love to have you
Oh,
back.
definitely.
And if you run into
Definitely. I
Bigfoot,
kind of have a.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
you were saying?
No, I was just
I
going
was
to say, if
saying
you
I
run into Bigfoot.
yeah. I have a kind of a paranormal book planned out, a series that I want to do. So it's called The Reaper of Love. So
Ooh. Oh, yes. I look forward to that.
Yes. Well, please promise us an exclusive with that because we love that kind of thing. So,
perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for visiting.
all right,
Yes,
Steffanie,
thank
have a
you,
wonderful evening. We will talk to you soon. Thanks for hopping in with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right, bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. See ya. Night.
Yeah, bye. That was great.
Yes. Oh my gosh, she's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't want to pry about the dyslexia, but I think it's important because I didn't know a lot of the things she was talking about. So
Yeah. And
and
to conquer that and be an author, oh my gosh.
and a journalist.
Yes. Wow.
And she
She's
kicks
an
bears'
amazing
ass.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to find her on Facebook and help her with the blue lens. I think that would be great too.
Oh yes, yes. I got her website pulled up so I can get all of her information.
Cool. Shoot me the link because I'll forget it when I go to type it in.
Okay. Will do.
You'll have to fill in for Shay tonight because I'll forget all these little details and they'll be like 2 weeks from now going, weren't you supposed to put that in there? I'm like, yeah, I did. So you have to help for Cheyenne. And for anybody that's curious, Cheyenne has got a cold or something. I think she's playing hooky, but but we have a great show tomorrow night too. It's going to be a late show, probably coming on at about 10:15ish. So get your energy drink ready. We're going to be up for a while. It's a Big Brother. We've already missed the first hour, so I'm going to go watch it right now. So, but so we'll be doing that tomorrow night, and then Friday I am looking for a guest for the Grinning Guardian, so I'll have to see how that works out. My guest has had some things come up with work, and he can't make it, so we'll find somebody else. And then Saturday, the Misfits. I think you and Cheyenne are gonna throw tarot cards at me or something. Just hit me. You should invite Shay.
I'll have to get her to join us for the Misfits if she's available Saturday.
Yeah, I think that would probably be up her alley. I know nothing about tarot cards. I'm going to be the one sitting in the corner going, You pulled the Death card on me. Got it. Check. There's a plane crashing in my house. Got it. So.
Oh my gosh.
So.
It'll be fine, Glenn. It's all good.
I'm sure. All right. Well, let's wrap this up because we are hitting our 2-hour time mark. Amanda, I'm so glad you've joined us. I'm so glad you're going to be a part of my paranormal team, so you can help keep me out of trouble.
Too.
I seem to.
I'll do my best.
It's not going to be easy, I promise you. So, I seem it follows me, so it's a sick trait. So. I'm looking forward to the Big Brother show. I will be on the Thin Line Rock Station tomorrow from noon till 1400. That's 2:00 for you civilians, Eastern time. And then Friday night from 6 p.m. till 11. Don't ask me the military time. I done forgot that. On the Thin Line Rock Station doing Friday night flashbacks. And then we've got the Grinning Guardian show 9 p.m. on Friday, and I don't know who the guest is next week. Who do we got next week? Let me look. I don't remember. I'm horrible with these things. Next week we have we've only got one guest scheduled, and he is an author as well, so looking forward to that. So until until we see you tomorrow for the Big Brother show. Good Lord. We will see you then. Bye.